What's in your toolbox? And more importantly, or at least as important, are you using the tools in your toolbox? So let's talk about those. To do this business acquisition journey, you need to do a few things and you need to know a few things. Probably less things than you think you might need to know. But first, you need to know what the process is and what the steps are. To do that, I would highly recommend that you go over to brucewhipple.com, look at the Acquisition Advantage Bootcamp. Those are the steps. Templates are in there. Follow those steps. Those that choose not to follow those steps are usually making, if not always, a big mistake and get themselves tangled up. So that's the first thing. If you don't know what industry, recently I came up with a course which was how to select your industry, because a lot of people thought there was a magic industry and they should find that, and there really isn't any. So that goes through what to consider. It's not only healthcare. And then there's a matrix at the end which gives you the ability to put 5 or as many as you want in there, and has a process to evaluate those to come up with what might be the best selection for you specifically, not somebody else, for you. And then while this is not a sales course, selling is part of this process, and that's something that a lot of people have never done. So as I've learned with my marketing director in the VIP Mastermind, where we do role plays, we spend a lot of time on those skill sets, and we decided that it made sense to do a selling course, which was is the Sales Summit. So that as well is over on brucewhipple.com. So those are all things that I think would be helpful for you. Hopefully you think so as well, and you would put them to good use. And then there's some things that are not on my website that I would recommend for you. One is a book called U Squared by Price Pritchett. It is a short book. I think it's 38 pages. About every other page has a diagram or a short title on it, so it's actually less than that. It's about a half-hour read. But I would highly recommend that you read that. It talks about how to make leaps in what you're doing. The example that's frequently used is, don't be the fly trying to get through the window, where if you were the fly turned around and saw an open door and you could get out that door into freedom, as opposed to keep pushing on the window, which you're never going to get through as a fly and end up dead on the windowsill. So I'd highly recommend that you do that as well, not die on a windowsill, but read U Squared. And you can find that at Amazon or wherever you buy books. The second is newsletters by a copywriter by the name of Gary Halbert. He is no longer alive, but you can still find his newsletters. Among the best, if not the best, copywriters that I know of. And the one that I'd suggest you start with is go into Google or whatever search engine you use and put Gary Halbert, Halbert, Halbert. And I'm going to read you the first sentence of this. Put that in as well. Last month, I promised this month I would teach you the real art of writing copy. So if you do that, you're going to come to this newsletter. I'd highly encourage you to read it. It talks about how to do copywriting. And that is a skill that most people don't have. But copywriting is also selling in the written word. So again, Gary Halbert was a pretty good salesperson as well. But those are some tools on my website, off my website. I don't want to give you too many of those, but those would contribute greatly to your success if you end up going through them. I gave recently a link to the Gary Halbert newsletter and said to people, I highly recommend that you go through this. And in the group I said, how many people got the link? Just about everybody. How many people have read it? About 20%. So having it and using it and knowing what's in it are all different things. So yes, you can come up with the link to it, but spend the time to go through the Gary Halbert. Spend the time to go through U Squared. Spend the time to go through the Acquisition Advantage Bootcamp or the How to Select an Industry or the Sales Summit. You'd be amazed how many people buy something and never go through it, and it doesn't do you much good. So Having the tools is one thing, using the tools, very different. If you're looking for how to start conversations, go over to brucewhipple.com. There are the free conversation starters there. If you want to go there directly, just go to brucewhipple.com/get class. But I've tried to keep this list small enough that you would actually do it, and hopefully that will be the case. But each of the things I've mentioned can help you move towards your goal of acquiring businesses much more quickly than if you don't use those tools.